In a crazy turn of events, CNN has Donald Trump leading Joe Biden by 6 percentage points on the national level for this 2024 election. What's crazy about this is that Donald Trump, according to the poll, is leading with independents by 9%. Okay. So the people split in the middle are going almost 10% pro Trump over Joe. Okay. Let's get into the details. When we look at Trump's lead with more people on the ballot, as we know, Kennedy is going to be on the ballot, Stein is going to be on the ballot, West if he actually gets his stuff together, and not the cool Kanye, not the cool West. It's going to be Cornell, who's a leftist, so that's taking more votes away from Biden. Anyhow, so in a five-way race, this poll by CNN has Trump up by 9. So instead of 6, he goes up to 9 in the popular vote. Okay, and Kennedy has 16%, which is notable, and Stein is taking 3%, which certainly would have voted Democrat had they not gone to Stein. So the more candidates you put in here, the better Trump does. Now, of course, this is crazy because a 9 point lead is virtually impossible to surmount. Anyway, when we break down the facts, we see that Trump, insofar as their presidency is concerned, Donald Trump has a lead in regards to people saying it was a failure or a success. So 11% more think it was a good term versus the contrary. Whereas with Biden, of course, it's negative 22. And so that kind of just shows you how bad it is. So think about it. Negative 22% people are saying that the success that you're touting as a president incumbent is actually real. And so that's really, 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 really bad. All right, so this is why this matters so much. So, as we all know, this presidential election was really contested about a year ago when it was a lot less, when it was a much more open field. But now there's been a consolidation. Actually, even though he has 88 felony counts against him, Donald Trump has been getting more clout with the Republican establishment. And some news has been breaking in that front. So, we have a meeting with DeSantis and Trump in Miami. So, we're going to get a lot more donor money in that respect. And when we're looking at it that way, you could really see what's going to happen here. Now, if you know anything about polling, you know that people that are polling for a presidential campaign or a conservative or liberal faction of the country are going to hide polls that make them look bad. And so if Biden has a good poll, they're going to show that. So CNN obviously is in the pocket of the Democrats, just obviously, even if they're not being paid by the Democrats, they're certainly liberal people doing these polls. And what you'll notice right off the bat is that they would hide the really bad ones. So if they have Trump up by 6 and by 9 in respective polls that they themselves do, then imagine the ones they aren't showing, okay? And so imagine that. He's up by that much, and he's up with independents, more importantly. Now, looking at it on the map level. All right, so just looking at a popular vote victory of Donald Trump of about 6 to 9%, we're going to average that out to 7.5. Well, actually, no, because we're going to have Kennedy on the ballot. So if the CNN poll is correct, which I don't really think so, but it's obviously trending in the right way. Clearly, if Trump wins the popular vote by 9, then we're going to simulate it on the poll on this map. Now, I will tell you this. Looking at the bones of this argument, we see that Joe Biden apparently won the 2020 election with an independent voter share of 11%. So 52% supported Biden over Trump's 43, if that makes sense. So he was leading it by 9. Now, what's interesting about this, of course, is that 95% of Democrats voted for Biden and only 5 for Trump, whereas obviously now it's only 80 something percent that are supporting Biden at this point. So what that tells you is that he's doing worse with Democrats. Clearly, no Republican's going to vote for the guy, but also that he, when he beat Trump by 4% in the popular vote, won the independent vote by about 10%. Whereas now he's losing it by about 10. And according to CNN, he's losing the popular vote by 9. And so we're going to fill this out in accordance to that. All right, so step one, we're going to look at all the states that are somewhat close, and we're just going to get right into them. And also keep in mind that in a popular vote victory for Donald Trump, all the safe states like Illinois, California, and New York are going to be a lot closer, but still would stable. Okay, I mean, Joe would have to literally have a stroke on stage for these to even be competitive, and that's just the way the country works. Same thing with Trump. He would have to, I mean, really just soil his pants in front of everyone to lose Wyoming, for instance. So that's going to stay the same. That being said, we're going to look at the trend map. So, I mean, just looking at this, we'll notice right off the bat that North Carolina is a state that Trump, despite losing to Biden, won by over 1%. So that's obviously going to be a big win for Republicans. Again, this is assuming he wins the popular vote by 9. So moving on, I think the next state in terms of like closeness would probably be the swing state of, let's say, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is interesting because, again, Biden won the popular vote by 4 and only won it by 1. So that voted to the right of the country by 3 percentage points. And so if you look at it that way, then obviously it's going Republican if the national share is positive Trump by 9. So I think that same logic applies to a state like Pennsylvania that Biden only won by 1% as well. I think that also applies to Michigan, which Biden won by more, in this case by like 3, in which case we're going to fill that out. Now, moving on, I think some states are going to be really easy for Trump, like Georgia, where he barely lost it in 2020. And out of all the swing states, he's pulling the best in Arizona and Georgia, which are more traditional Sun Belt conservative states anyway. So he's already won the election with these popular votes, but we're going to continue to fill out the map. All right. So Arizona's obviously going Republican in this case as well. Oh my God, whoops, that's the Mike Lindell map. Okay, no, California's staying blue no matter what. All right, so Arizona's red. Reason being, obviously, +9 vote share for Trump. I mean, it would be insane for him to lose in this case. I think the same thing applies to Nevada, even though he did lose it in 2020, as he did Arizona, by the way. So 0.4 loss here last time. Again, 2.4 loss in Nevada. So he's bound to win that by like 6, according to this new CNN metric. We're also moving on to another niche state like Nebraska. The 2nd district did vote for Biden, but not by more than 9. So, I mean, that's going red as well. That's pretty clear. But moving on, let's do the next state, which is going to be Maine. So Maine at large, I think, would go red. I think the 2nd district would go red as well, easily. The next state I want to talk about is Minnesota. I think Minnesota is interesting because this state was super close in 2016, despite not being really contested. And it wasn't really the case in 2020. Case in point, let's look it up here. So Biden won the state despite the George Floyd riots happening right here and it being a shit show for Democrats. But still, they did great electorally. In fact, they won the 10 votes here by about 7% in 2020. So Trump would narrowly beat Biden with Kennedy helping him out here. Anywho, let's go to New Hampshire. New Hampshire is a difficult state to gauge because it's very friendly to moderate Democrats like Joe Biden, but he's felted. So anyway, Biden won the state by 9.1% in 2020. And so if Trump has a lead of 9%, technically Biden would win New Hampshire, which is nuts that he loses everything but New Hampshire. But I mean, it's literally true. Anyhow, we're going to move on. The next closest state, in my opinion, was probably Virginia, but we have to double check. There's 3 more states here. Biden won Virginia by 10.1%. He won Colorado by a massive 13.5%, I believe. And then he won New Mexico by about 12. So we're going to fill out Virginia is going blue in this case. Now, Virginia has recently gone red in the case of Glenn Youngkin's 2021 gubernatorial campaign. So it's a little more promising than maybe these 2 states. That being said, we're going to fill out these. They're also going blue, obviously, just because if you subtract 9 from the margin in 2020, Trump still loses. Now, they do get really close like they were in 2004. That being said, they're not competitive realistically. So if you look at the final version of the map, if CNN is right, then we look at a result that has Trump winning 325 electoral votes to Biden's 213. Now, this is somewhat interesting, of course, because Joe Biden is likely to do not as bad, but it's still evident that this is like the best case scenario, okay? Now, think about it. Trump is gaining in the aggregate despite being outspent in commercials and campaign organization and everything. So if he's outspent by a ratio of 3 to 1 or whatever have you, and he's gaining in the aggregate, that's a great sign for his campaign. And I'll tell you what, you see Trump, he's up 1.3. A couple weeks ago, if you recall the last video I made, he was up by less than 1. And so that's a great sign. If we look at the state of Pennsylvania, the only one of these swing states that he was losing, you'll check the aggregate now. And in fact, Trump's winning it by 0.6. And so what that means for you is that Donald Trump is leading in every single swing state in the United States. It's really remarkable to see the turnaround. Again, the guy was the underdog the entire last election. And now, even with these 88 felony accounts over hush money for a nut he got in 2006, apparently we've got to badger this guy. But now he's winning. So look at this. Okay, so in Arizona, he's leading by 5. Georgia is winning by 4. Michigan, he's winning by 1.3. Nevada is winning by 4.8. North Carolina, he's winning by 5.4. Pennsylvania is winning by 0.6, and Wisconsin is leading by 1.8. A remarkable turn of events for the incumbent president, kind of. If you ask the right person, oh, you still my president? Look, he might be next year, but there's a lot to wait for. I think the CNN poll is a great sign for conservatives. That being said, I don't think Trump wins by 9. He probably maybe wins it by 2 or 3, but that's still a dub, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Adios. Bonus end credit scene for the real loyal people. I want to ask the chat, okay? Comment down below what you want to see next. Do you want to see me react to certain things? Like, for instance, the correspondence dinner with the president. Apparently, he was roasting Trump. I don't know how good that could be. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like the video and subscribe. I would ask you to share, but I'm antisocial, so don't share this with anybody. But keep in mind that I do read every single comment, even if I don't reply. Just make it entertaining and I will reply. See y'all in the next one. Actually, bye.